Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fourth Cowboy Conversation. It's being hosted by Oklahoma State University Centers for Health Sciences Alumni Association and OSU Foundation. My name is Ashley Ashmore, and I'm the Director of Operations for the OSU-COM at Cherokee Nation here in Tahlequah. My day-to-day operation, or my role, is to focus on the day-to-day operations, and I get to work with a pretty amazing crew. My background, I got to be a part of the team that not only designed our campus, but also opened the campus, and it's been a pretty spectacular experience. Being the Director of Operations has a lot of fun things that come along with it. It's never a dull moment, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. So I'm really excited about today's Cowboy Conversation topic because it's very near and dear to my heart. I'm going to introduce our panelists today. We have with us, and I'm going to read a short bio on everyone. So if you'll just bear with me, we'll get through all of that and then get to the good stuff where we can talk to everyone. Dr. William Pettit is joining us today, and he is the inaugural Dean for OSU College of Osteopathic Medicine at the Cherokee Nation. Dr. Pettit graduated from Des Moines University College of Osteopathic Medicine and completed a family medicine residency at Womack Army Hospital in Fort Bragg, North Carolina. After completing his residency, Dr. Pettit relocated to Oklahoma, where he was a commissioned medical officer at Reynolds Army Community Hospital in Fort Sill. He resigned his military commission in 1983, reaching the rank of major. Dr. Pettit practiced medicine in a community clinic in Lawton for 19 years before joining the faculty at OSU Centers for Health Sciences in 2002. Most recently, he was the provost for OSU-CHS and senior associate dean of OSU-COM. He assumed his current role as the inaugural dean of the OSU College of Osteopathic Medicine at the Cherokee Nation in 2018. The campus accepted its inaugural class in August of 2020. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Also, we have with us Dr. Natasha Bray, Associate Dean for Academic Affairs and Accreditation. Dr. Bray is the Associate Dean for Academic Affairs Accreditation at OSU College of Osteopathic Medicine at the Cherokee Nation and a Clinical Associate Professor of Rural Health at the Oklahoma State University Centers for Health Sciences in Tulsa. She has previously been the Associate Dean of Clinical Medicine at the Arkansas College of Osteopathic Medicine, as well as the designated institutional official for the North Broward Hospital District in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Dr. Bray is board certified in internal medicine and was named as fellow in 2012 by the American College of Osteopathic Internists. She has been involved in many committees with several different organizations, a few of which include the ACOI, ACP, NBOME, and the Association of Osteopathic Graduate Medical Educators. Dr. Bray currently serves as a member of NBOME's National Faculty and NBOME's Special Commission on Osteopathic Medical Licensure Agreement. She has also been involved as a member of ACGME's Osteopathic Recognition Committee since 2014, and is currently serving as chair of the committee as well as vice chair of ACGME's Committee on Review Committee Chairs and as an observer to the ACGME Board of Directors. Dr. Bray will join the National Resident Matching Program, NRMP, Board of Directors July 2021. Thank you, Dr. Bray, for being here today. We also have on the panel Emily Uthier. Emily is the recruitment specialist. Emily is the recruitment specialist for OSU College of Osteopathic Medicine. Emily graduated from Oklahoma State University in 2017, and she started working at OSU-COM in 2019. Since joining the OSU-COM recruitment team, she has helped facilitate monthly information sessions, open houses, career fairs, student advisements, campus tours, and undergrad days. Thanks, Emily. Next, we have Dylan Tucker. Dylan Tucker is our outreach coordinator focusing on rural and tribal health outreach. Dylan is a member of the Cherokee Nation and a graduate from Oklahoma State University. Her focus is for outreach centers around rural and tribal communities. Being from a rural area, that has a high population of Native American citizens, these focuses for outreach really resonate with her. Dylan has a passion for helping these communities and areas alike thrive and grow. Seeing students that come from a similar background as hers succeed in their dreams has always been a passion of hers. Thank you, Dylan. So we have an amazing panel today. I want to be the first to thank you all for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing from our panelists. I want to start off the program by discussing the start of OSU-COM at the Cherokee Nation. And we're going to, none other than our inaugural dean, Dr. Pettit. Could you get us started and tell us a little bit about how the campus began, where it all started?
Thank you, Ashley, and good afternoon, everybody. Happy rainy day to all of you. I'd be pleased to start off the discussion. I really need to go back about a decade ago to really encompass the history by envisioning what was going on in 05, 06 as we began to explore new clerkship rotations for our medical students at Tulsa. And one of the places we visited and subsequently developed programs with Tahlequah City Hospital, now Northeastern Health Systems, and at the W.W. Hastings Hospital as well. By 2009, after approximately 3 years of having students on rotation, these hospitals both appreciated so much our students, what their mission was, and invested in starting a family medicine residency program that year, which was followed by internal medicine residency program by 2013. That was with the advent of new funding through the Health Resources Service Administration. So during that time, the important part is that we had increasing conversations with the Cherokee Nation. And it was announced in 2012 that their tribal leadership, then Principal Chief Bill John Baker, wanted to build or start a medical school on the campus of the Cherokee Nation Health Services campus. So it was our corresponding desire at the time to increase class size and support our rural mission. So by 2016, Oklahoma State University Center for Health Sciences, under the leadership of President Casey Schrum, now the big president of OSU, to submit a letter of intent to increase our class size by 50, an additional site here in Tahlequah on Cherokee Nation land, which, as it turned out, to be the first affiliated, tribal affiliated medical school in the United States. So by August of 2018, the Commission on Ospec College Accreditation approved that we could recruit students, which we did. And we started our first class, as Ashley said, in August of 2020, just at the height of the pandemic. So Ashley, Natasha, myself, a great crew here, had a unique environment to try to start that. We actually recruited 54 students. And in January 2021, we moved into a beautiful, beautiful medical school building built by our great partners, the Cherokee Nation. So this was a process of developing relationships, sharing of healthcare missions, and joint planning and financing that spanned really a decade. And the mission here at the Cherokee Nation really mirrors that of the mission of our Tulsa campus as well, and shares the vision as well. So what the Cherokee Nation campus does bring, though, is a more of a focus that stimulates the development of programs to enhance awareness of the culture and heritage of the Oklahoma tribal nations, and specifically of the Cherokee Nation. And all of the programs that we offer in tribal emphasis, we try to share with our Tulsa campus as well. I want to just refresh everyone's memory that of the mission overall of OSU-CHS, and I'm going to read this to you. Oklahoma State University Center for Health Sciences educates and trains osteopathic physicians, research scientists, and other healthcare professionals with an emphasis on serving rural and underserved Oklahoma. We have multiple visionary tasks that set out to make us the most preferred campus in Oklahoma, maybe the United States, maybe the world. I don't know. But anyway, with that, Ashley, I'll cease talking and turn it back over to you.
No problem.
You're muted.
I did not unmute. There we go. Can you hear me now? We good? Dr. Bray, would you like to add a little bit to that and kind of discuss the cultural component being here at Cherokee Nation?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ashley. And thank you, Dr. Pettit, for sharing with everyone kind of the background and development of the campus. One of the things that we spend a lot of time and energy talking about is really location and why put a campus here rather than just increasing our class size in Tulsa. And it really gets to what Dr. Pettit was just speaking about. Our mission is to train physicians to serve our rural and underserved communities. And we know that we have a lot of challenges within our tribal healthcare centers, both with recruitment of physicians, but also keeping them as part of the community long-term to really make an impact and a difference for those populations and those people who seek care in those clinics. So the desire and the thought behind putting the campus here in Tahlequah is, yeah, we're very, very proud as an institution to have the first medical school that is located on tribal land and is affiliated with our great partners at the Cherokee Nation. But more important, it allows us to put our future physicians, our students, in an environment where they're able every day to live, work, and be part of the community that we're training them to serve. This is really important from a developmental standpoint. If you think about what happens to people as we go through a process, both a formal educational process where we're learning the important skills that are needed to take care of patients, so their basic science curriculum, and then as they move into their clinical curriculum, but there's also the hidden curriculum, and that's how we instill values of empathy, of cultural competency, of being part of a community and having an understanding of who the patients are that we serve, all the challenges that they bring into that patient-physician encounter, and the opportunity for our students, our future colleagues and physicians to be able to really understand that. So it is our hope by putting them in these communities that they develop a comfort, they develop a sense of service, they develop a sense of obligation to the communities that have supported them as they obtain their education, so that they're able to better serve those communities as we move forward. And we really talk about that as being our R3 program. And I think, Dr. Pettit, you're the one that came up with that great acronym. So we're going to recruit rural, we're going to train them in a rural environment so that we're prepared to practice in that rural community. And that's really what our goal is by establishing this campus.
Thank you, Dr. Bray. Thank you, Dr. Pettit. As a Cherokee citizen, I'm very excited about this project, and Dr. Bray kind of touched on some things about how we as the med school are coming in to be a part of this community, and it's been refreshing to watch our students come in and kind of grow into Tahlequah and be noticed and recognized around town by some businesses and some other entities. And we've been very well welcomed and received. And as a Cherokee Nation citizen and a former Cherokee Nation employee, it's very exciting to watch. It's very special for our tribe, and we're looking forward to the future and what it's going to bring to Cherokee Nation and surrounding rural communities as well. We want to go ahead and move on and talk a little bit about, since we've now learned the history and kind of where it all began. Dr. Bray, do you want to go in and kind of talk to us about what the first year looked like and the facilities and the learning environment and the technology? I know our students had to, their first year was a little challenging with the pandemic, and then also our construction project not being completed until the second semester. So they had a very unique first year experience. but I think it went really well, and they successfully completed that first year on May the 13th. And you want to kind of tell us a little bit about the facility and the technology and kind of how we got here?
Absolutely. So, wow, what a year it has been. I don't think any of us, when we started this planning process, expected us to have a worldwide pandemic that was going to really affect every aspect of our life. One of the things that Ashley just touched on that I think it probably is the first thing we should talk about when we talk about this inaugural class and their first year experience is what an amazing group of individuals that we have as part of this class. They are resilient, they're engaged, they are excited to be part of this. And with that, they were able to grant us a lot of grace as we went through the growing process. The Cherokee Nation has been wonderful to work with. As Dr. Pettit mentioned, they constructed us a beautiful 85,000 square foot facility that is here adjacent to W.W. Hastings Hospital and across the parking lot from their new outpatient healthcare center that opened about a year and a half ago now. We are so thankful that they did open that new outpatient healthcare center because our students had the opportunity to spend their first semester in classrooms over in their community center. And if they had not gotten that open and they weren't such wonderful partners, we would have had a lot more challenging year than we did. But because of that partnership, we were able to start classes on time. We were able to get students into the learning environment and support them as we had originally planned with a little bit of a modification. Dr. Pettit touched on, we moved into our building in January. I do have to brag a little bit on Ashley at this point and her just amazing accomplishment in managing to get this building open and get a certificate of occupancy towards the end of December, get furniture deployed and physically get us in the building for January 4th for us to start back to classes on January 6th. This facility is beautiful. Bria, if you don't mind, would you drop a link to our open house registration? We will be hosting a open house here. We do ask for if anybody wants to come that you RSVP so we have an idea on the number of people that will be with us, but on June 4th from 4 to 6 p.m. And we really wanted to give the community an opportunity to see what's happening here. As I said, the building is 85,000 square feet. I don't know that there's technology that you can think of that we don't have integrated into the building. We have 2 traditional lecture halls. We have 4 smaller classrooms. We have a large number of labs, including anatomy, neuroanatomy, an osteopathic manual medicine lab, clinical skills lab. I'm in our beautiful standardized patient. This is a 10-patient standardized patient lab where students are able to come in and see patients. We also have a simulation center with 4 rooms with extremely well-equipped high fidelity simulation. And really all this technology does a few things. One, it allows us to connect and interact with our campus in Tulsa so that we're able to create a one campus, one class, one student body environment, allowing the students to have shared learning, but also to experience different communities as we've touched on. The other thing that it does is it really allows us to change how we deliver medical education. It allows us to meet our learners where they are and allow them to be successful while also taking care of their own families, their own lives, and their own challenges that they may bring to the table. Ultimately, our goal is for our students to be successful in obtaining their education so that they can help us really meet our mission. And the building is really designed around that, promoting student wellness, promoting students to engage with the education in a way that allows them to be successful. As I said, thank you so much for getting that into the chat. If you're interested in coming and visiting us and seeing our facility, we would welcome you. The other kind of special thing in this building that I would share with you all is we have over 125 pieces of art from Cherokee artists. And the art really speaks to traditional healing, but also how the Cherokee people approach the intersection between health, wellness, family and community. And it's really an amazing thing to see. It makes the campus unique and makes it a beautiful, really amazing place to get to come to work every day.
Thank you, Dr. Bray. I agree. The art makes this a very special campus. So I would encourage everyone to check out the link, register, and come see us on June the 4th, and take the time to go around and really take a look at the art. It's beautiful. They've done a phenomenal job. Dr. Bray, we appreciate the update on the building, and I also agree that we have a beautiful state-of-the-art building, and thank you for the accolades. It was truly an honor to get to be a part of this project and watch it come full circle. And it's hard to believe. I think last week I saw a Facebook memory pop up, and it was 2 years ago that we did the groundbreaking for this project. And now here we are showing it off. So very exciting. Now that we have this beautiful big building, of course, we're not just going to stop with the first class. So Dr. Pettit, that kind of leads us in. Would you like to talk about our admissions and what it looks like for next year, which is not that far away?
Very close indeed. Sure, Ashley, I'd be glad to do that. You know, our inaugural class graduating in 2024 is now on their brief summer break, as we call it, the last summer that they'll ever have. But recruitment for the class of 2025, our second class, currently we have 52 students who have accepted the offer for admission on our campus. And very proud to say that similar to our first class, maybe 1% or so higher, we have 23% Native American students in the class who represent multiple tribal nations here in Oklahoma, the Cherokee, the Caddo, the Chickasaw, the Creek, Choctaw, Peoria, and we have a student from the Northwest region of the United States, and I may mispronounce this, but the Tlingit nation. And also you got to recall, historically, if you look at all MD and DO medical schools in the United States, Native American students account for less than 0.1% of all the students in those facilities. Also know that as the state of Oklahoma institution, we're required by the state regents of higher education to take at a minimum 75% Oklahomans, and hats off to our recruitment team. Phenomenal job in securing some wonderful, wonderful students. We have, though, 85% Oklahomans in the incoming class, and of those, 50% come from rural communities, and they're represented by 30 or 58% female and 22 or 42% males. And again, outstanding students. The comparison academically between the two campuses are mirrors, so to speak. So with that, Ashley, I hope that gives a brief summary. And again, back to you.
All right, absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Pettit. I know I'm excited, and everyone else on this campus is excited. We're looking forward to orientation week so we can meet all of those students and welcome them to our Cowboy family. Admissions, of course, wouldn't be possible without the work of our accreditation. Dr. Bray, you kind of beat me to the accolades, but I wanted to brag on you here at this point. Dr. Bray's leadership, her expertise, it was invaluable in the accreditation process. Not only did she do an outstanding job getting all of us organized and prepared for the COCA site visits and all of the reports that we had to prepare for her, but she also compiled all the endless amounts of paperwork that needed to be submitted for COCA for each step of this accreditation process. I can't explain to you how many hours Dr. Bray spent on this, and we're very grateful for her work and all of that work she did behind the scenes to make it seamless. whenever Coca showed up. I think they were definitely impressed whenever we had our first ever Zoom virtual site visit. We did a lot of firsts with this campus, definitely some that we had not planned on. But Dr. Bray, can you kind of take us through the accreditation status and the journey that it to get here?
Absolutely. So I don't want to bore you all with a lot of details about accreditation because I'm pretty sure you won't find it as fascinating and as fun as I do. But Dr. Pettit touched on a little bit earlier. In order to begin this journey, we really had to send a letter to the Commission on Osteopathic College Accreditation, who is our accrediting body for the DO degree. And that happened a long time ago. And we started that process that really triggered the substantive change that led to both the class size increase as well as the establishment of the additional campus. At this point, we've had 3 site visits. One of those was via Zoom, and we had a lot of documentation. And when I say a lot of documentation, we're probably talking in the order of around 30 to 40,000 pages of evidentiary submission that we've provided to the accrediting body. And really, Ashley's being very, very kind. I did not create or make that. It really represents the amazing leadership and work of our different departments throughout the OSU-CHS family in campus, because without that work, bringing the documents together wouldn't have been possible. We would have never made it through this journey without the great work that everyone who's part of the team contributed. Just to give everybody an update where we are. So we had our year 1 site visit that was associated with the self-study that was back in early February of 2021. And that was Coca's first virtual site visit. So a little bit of growing pains associated with that from a logistics standpoint, but we all got through it. That information from that site visit and our self-study went to the COCA meeting in April, and we received notification back with my new favorite phrase, which no additional documentation or evidence required at this time. So we're really proud of the work that was done by the entire team to get us to that point. That was a big sigh of relief. What that means, though, is we're not done. We're still in a heightened sense of monitoring associated with this substantive change. So we will submit another self-study in the spring of 2022. This one does involve a survey of our students, actually on both campuses, and where they'll ask the students lots of questions. They're trying to verify from the students that the support that we have put in place really exists and that they are having their needs met, which is really an important portion of accreditation, because we can do everything perfect, but if we're not responsive to the needs of the students and creating a learning environment that supports them, we're really kind of missing the mark on what our goals are. So we'll continue through that process. We'll continue with that monitoring until we finish the first class. Once that first class graduates in 2024, we will go through a comprehensive site visit. They'll look at both campuses, and we'll go back then to continuous monitoring from an accreditation standpoint. So it's been a lot of work for everyone involved at the OSU system, but they've just done an absolute outstanding job in putting us in a position to be successful. And we are so thankful for the work that they're doing. And we look forward to being able to continue to celebrate the successes that we have and really use accreditation as an ongoing quality improvement and learning process to make sure that we are providing the absolute best education that we can to our students.
Thank you, Dr. Bray. We definitely, all of this could not have been made possible without the support of course, Cherokee Nation, but as well as our other community organizations who have understood the need of providing physicians in rural and tribal communities. We have several partners, several opportunities, several organizations that have really supported us, and some other things that are going on that Dr. Pettit, I'd like to ask you at this time if you'd like to discuss kind of what the support has been for our campus and what the future looks like.
Yeah, thank you, Ashley. I'd like to jump back just a little bit with how the campus started, and it touches on this same topic. When we had our accreditation visit, et cetera, or when we submitted our form, we had a letter signed not just by the Cherokee Nation, but by the Chickasaw, the Choctaw, the Creek, and the Seminole Nations. So it was a combined effort of the principal tribal nations in Oklahoma. I say that just as going back to highlight that. But the area of grants and the area of donations has proven to be really a very exciting development here on the Cherokee Nation campus. President Shrum once told me that she had no idea that this would be such an embraced concept and campus across the United States, both for academia as well as the tribal nations. But so to touch on grants, in 2019, we applied for and received a Health Resources and Service Administration, or HRSA, grant that the mission matched perfectly what we were doing. And that's for our students to appreciate and understand Native American cultures, to participate in tribal locations, and for clinical clerkships and for rural residencies in tribal settings. And then eventually the goal is to have those same students practice within the Native American setting. The original grant, which is 4 years, 2019 to 2023, was for $4.6 million. And there have been, subsequent to that, 2 supplemental grants that were part of this original grant. The first one for the year of 2020 had $2.8 million. And we'll talk about what that went toward in a little bit. And a second one we have now under development for 2021 for $4.2 million. And Dr. Bray said this in the past, didn't know she'd ever have a problem spending all the money, but you get 11,700,000 and some odd dollars. It gives you a couple opportunities. One, to be very, very helpful to the OSU Center for Health Sciences system, but also to support our students. So these funds have gone toward multiple things. One of the big expenses we did was simulation equipment and the programming required for its use, not only for this campus, but Tulsa campus. And we were able to also share support with the Cherokee Nation, the Choctaw Nation, and the Chickasaw Nation. And specifically, the Choctaw and Chickasaw are so far away from either the Tulsa or Tahlequah campus. We wanted to help them by purchasing simulation equipment that they could provide at that campus locally. Other than that, we did support of the academic success for our medical students. So that includes academic support, money going toward the salary for learning specialists, purchasing board review materials, tutoring, academic coaches, mental health support, where we have counseling services, wellness support for nutrition, exercise, support of the educational continuum, which really is that transition from being a medical student into residency. And it's a significant change that many people are unaware of in the general public. And then we actually provided support even to the tribal nation residencies that we have. As I said earlier, Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Cherokee Nation all have residency programs that we sponsor. So it's been very, very helpful. Includes also stipends for students to do research, which Dr. Bray has been really the spearhead for much of the research initiatives that she's worked with the entire university on. So, and then we enhanced our library services. Neat thing to see is a 3D printer, which will gain use as we move forward in our classes. research databases, and also poster printer here. So, and then the last thing that I would add to that is that we do support of those pathway programs. Operation Orange, for example, as we do every summer, actually have that here preceding the open house that Dr. Bray and our good Bria put up on the screen. So that one grant, the Medical Student Education Program through HRSA, has been a godsend, and we welcome those funds, as did the entire university. I also want to mention in the same vein the donations that have occurred. You know, and Ashley mentioned our grand opening Halloween 2018, as I recall, and we had a little lunch afterwards, and I had the pleasure of standing on the stage with Principal Chief Bill John Baker, who handed me a $100,000 check and said, "This is for student scholarships." Well, Governor Anatobi of the Chickasaw Nation couldn't really stand it, so he came on stage and gave $100,000. So we started out with those two big gifts, and subsequently, with other tribal and personal donations, we now have in that form of donations about $700,000. Last week, or I guess it's been 2 weeks ago now, we had a visit with a former OSU undergraduate alumnus who is donating $1.1 million to our campus specifically to support American Indian female medical students with scholarships. And we're very, very excited about this gift and how it will help us to recruit talented American Indian females. He enjoyed our tour. And by the way, to mention the art, every time I take somebody on a tour, I lose them because I'm talking to them about the building, and I turn around and they're back on a picture down the hall. You've got to get over if you haven't been here, as Dr. Bray said, just for the art alone. So in total, we have a little over $1.7 million in donation towards scholarships. And this is made up by 15 individual scholarships that have been created. And so also kudos to our great OSU Foundation and our marketing and public relations department. They are very, very instrumental in seeing that this campus is successful. So it's all very exciting. More to come, I hope. Those would be the two big areas I'd hit on, Ashley, and certainly we can entertain questions later.
Okay. Yes, I agree. We're all blown away by the support that we've received, not only from the tribes and other organizations, but now we're receiving those from individuals. And it's very exciting to see the support that's coming in for the medical school and the students. And Dr. Pettit, if I could ask you to maybe we'll lead into this and tell us the type of support that we have for our student body here in Tahlequah. Speaking of a different kind of support. There we go.
Oh, I will, yes. Well, I hope you all can stay awake through my talking some more. Anyway, yes, I can do something with that, Ashley. It brings me back to several years ago. President Shrum and I sat down with Dr. Kent Smith, who at that time was running tribal nation specific programs. And we agreed to create an entity called the Office of American Indians in Medicine and Science. Kent Smith now is the Associate Dean for that office. And he is Native American, has a special place in his heart for this mission. And we've hired a director, Jackie Hensley, who is a prior chief of the Kaw Nation. Very great folks. And the mission of that office, which is now under the supervision of myself, the dean of this campus, is to strongly support Native American students on both campuses, Tulsa and here, and to provide tribal nation cultural events for students, faculty, and staff, and to serve as a liaison between the tribal nations and our university. AIMS, as we call it, AIMS, also has a program for Native American youth called the Native Explorers that Dr. Kent Smith runs principally. And it additionally supports the development and implementation of a Cherokee Cherokee language course, elective course. From what I hear from Ashley and Dr. Bray, that may well be available next year, but that's on the drawing board. And that's also been part of our grant that we had to develop that. Another thing that's in the grant that we want to develop that's spearheaded in part by the AIMS office is a tribal medical track. And for those in the university know that dating back to 08 10, we've had a tribal medical, a rural medical, either an elective or a track. And so this one, the tribal medical track, though, will allow us to focus on tribal facilities, et cetera. So looking very much to that. And I believe that also is ready to be introduced next year. So things are progressing well. There's a student organization with AIMS called ANAMS, which stands for Association of Native Americans in Medicine and Science. And again, there's both tribal nation membership and non-tribal membership in that student organization. But their focus, of course, is on tribal nation involvement that occurs in health and science. The other supporting organization, one I'm fairly fond of, is called STORM, or the Student Osteopathic Rural Medical Club. Again, that's been around since about 2013, and their goal also is to focus on rural and to support a tribal population in health and science. So both of those clubs, if you think back to the mission statement, both of those clubs are phenomenal student involvement to support the mission overall. So our students, they do great things, and they've had a great year. Some trying times, but they've done very, very well. And they're doing great things out in the community as well. So Dr. Bray, maybe you can enlighten us some on what the students have been up to out in Tahlequah and around.
Be happy to, Dr. Pettit. Thank you so much. And I first I'll say I can't begin to give justice to these students and their dedication not only to their studies, but also to their communities. One of the unique opportunities that we had this year was partnering with the Cherokee Nation to help work within their vaccination distribution. So we had our faculty, our physician faculty here on staff, as well as our students, give countless hours of volunteer work, really over 650 hours by our students to work here in Tahlequah with the Cherokee Nation and administer vaccines. Those of you who are used to medical education, these are first-year students. So of course, we're not going to let them go out by themselves and start doing that. So that led to us to do a little bit of curricular modification to teach them how to do vaccines, as well as really dedication on the part of our faculty to be willing to be there, supervise them, to allow us to be part of what really was a meaningful activity for our students, the ability to interact with patients at this early stage in their education, I think will have a lasting impact on them. The students have also engaged in a lot of different activities over the years that really was organized by the students themselves through ANAMS or through STORM. They worked with Habitat for Humanity. They went out and cleaned up a lot and started the initial construction on a house, and then went back in the spring spring and helped with the paint and finishing of that house so that it was ready to open. They've also been engaged with book drives, with food drives, student life on this campus. The Office of Student Life that's led by Angela Bacon and her team have been absolutely wonderful in supporting the students and their clubs and allowing them the opportunity to really engage with the community. I'm really excited about what the future will bring because it's amazing to see that sense of service in our students very early from their career. They're willing to step away from their studies to be part of the community and really contribute as part of the community to making a difference in people's lives. So it's been a great year. We're so proud of the work that they do, and we can't wait to support them as they continue to do that type of work in the future.
Thank you, Dr. Bray. I agree. As you can tell, we're extremely proud of our current students and all the things that they're getting to do. And we're looking forward to watching how that grows and how they grow. And that being said, we need to look to the future. So we want to look to those future students. And I'm going to ask Emily. Emily, do you mind to kind of give us some details and discuss your recruitment initiatives that you have to gain those future students and get them interested to come to campus?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Ashley. Like everyone has mentioned today, I'm so excited that the OSU-COM at Cherokee Nation is finally opened. The building is beautiful. It's a great place for students to go on tours and, like everyone's mentioned, point out the amazing artwork that we have, as well as our training facilities. We're still working on some of our plans for the upcoming year, but I'm excited to share with you some of the ideas that we do have. Our focus is to recruit undergrad students that are interested in medicine and obviously in those rural and underserved areas. So we target students through various efforts such as in-person tours. So right now we do offer in-person tours on the Tahlequah campus. Every other week on Tuesdays and Thursdays, students have the option to choose from 4 different time slots, and they can go online and schedule their tour. And then I'm able to coordinate with our student ambassadors and get that tour set up. If there are undergrad institutions that are interested in group tours, they can contact me directly and I can set that up. We're hoping to, like we did in Tulsa, reach out to different schools for individual tours such as NSU and get those set up as well. We're also going to implement, we have on the Tulsa campus a day in the life of a medical student. So we're hoping to implement this on the Tahlequah campus where a student is able to follow a medical student for the day. So they'll go to lab and lecture with them, and then they'll get to spend time with the student eating lunch, asking all the questions that they have, and then go on a campus tour. We also have our monthly information sessions, and we'll be implementing those starting in Tahlequah in August. So students will come, they'll learn about OSU-COM, the different programs that we offer, application options, what the application process looks like. Again, get to just talk to current medical students, ask them, how did you apply? What were your biggest fears? What does your day-to-day look like? And really just get to know the medical students that we have. And then of course, go on a tour. We're also working on an event and partnering with the Association of Native American Medical Students organization, similar to our MAPS conference that we have in Tulsa. So students will go to interactive stations, hear a keynote speaker, get to enjoy lunch with the medical students. And then of course, it ends with a campus tour. And then I'm also working on recruiting specifically to the NSU students, get them over to the OSU at the Cherokee Nation, and really just recruit to students that are Native Americans and that are interested in working with tribal nations. We are fortunate that we get to work with our current students. So our student ambassadors, not only are they excellent leaders, but they also are a great representation of OSU-COM. And they're really great to work with prospective students as well as the guests that will come to our campus.
Excellent. Thank you, Emily. You all do. Their recruitment team does an incredible job. We can't thank you enough for all the work that you all put into this. We've enjoyed seeing them come in and take the tours, and every once in a while, I know Dr. Pettit, Dr. Bray, and myself, we may be roaming about the building and get to interact with those individuals as they come in. So we enjoy it. We enjoy tour days around here. Not only are we focused on undergrad, but we also, I want to switch gears a little bit, and we're focused on younger age groups. It's very important to OSU, like how soon do we need to start getting children involved and engaged, and we want them to have those big dreams and hopes of potentially becoming a doctor, going into the medical field, or just ignite those sparks. Dylan, how do you do that? And would you like to talk about what your program does and kind of some of the outreach initiatives that you have planned?
Sure. So like you said earlier, I am a member of the Cherokee Nation and also from Tahlequah. So to be able to see this campus and see it, come to fruition has just been super exciting from the moment it was even announced. But as far as our outreach efforts go for the younger kids, we have what we call Cowboy Corner, and really that's geared for our kindergarten to third grade age group. And so we are getting in there pretty early on, but it's mainly because I think if we can get in there and show them that science is cool and the things that you can do with science are a lot of fun, and being a physician or going to see a physician isn't a scary experience. It's something that you should look forward to, and talking to your physician and making sure that they have that comfortable relationship with them. So we get in there pretty young and we like to talk to them, and Cowboy Corner is a virtual option right now. They do a reading activity as well as an experiment at the end of the reading activity, and it usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes. And they broadcast it right now to different classrooms that sign up for that. So we have a lot of teachers, again, kindergarten and third grade teachers that'll sign up for that, and they have their class, and we have different characters. So again, it makes it kind of fun to see them do the experiments, and they get up and do a little dance, and it makes it a little bit funner for them to be able to see that. We also are partnering with a few elementary schools, especially trying to get new partnerships here in the Tahlequah areas and surrounding areas. So we have partnered with New Teach at Cherokee Elementary in Muskogee, as well as Cherokee Elementary here in Tahlequah. And we really like to partner with them as far as trying to have a mentorship program. We're trying to get that off the ground, and with our medical school students, so that they can go over, spend a little bit of time with the kids, and they get to see these kids that maybe came from the same background that they are currently in, and get to see that this could be their future when they get older. And so that's always pretty exciting for them too. They do, Dr. Bray mentioned earlier, donation drives such as book drives and things like that, just to kind of help those kids out as well as those teachers, and just so we have a good long-standing relationship with them too. As far as our high school outreach goes, we have many of our events that we already have a good standing with. So we have Operation Orange, which is just around the corner. We have the first 2 weeks in June. And so one of our locations will be the Tahlequah campus, which we're super excited about, getting to have those high school students come and they get to see the beautiful campus that we have here, and then getting the open house that night or that evening as well. We also have Dr. Pete's Immersion. And so that used to be a 3-day residential camp. And so it has turned into a 4-day residential camp. And that is because the opening of the Tahlequah campus, we wanted to give each campus the time that it deserved. So they will have 1 day on our Tulsa campus just to kind of see the area, see what they could be learning in. And then the exact same thing will happen on our Tahlequah campus. And again, they get to tour of the facility, and then they also get an experience out in Tahlequah, just so they can also see the community and possibly the community that they would be working in as well. And so we have a lot of these, and we really partner with all of them with different organizations throughout campus. And so you have Native OK Stars, which is a 6-week research program. And so we'll partner with that organization as well, just to kind of showcase that and make sure that high schoolers really know the many opportunities that they have to be able to get involved, not only in the physician track, but also if they are looking into research or anything like that, if that maybe is what interests them, we have that kind of opportunity for them to get involved as well.
Thank you, Dylan. It sounds like you guys have some exciting stuff coming. Glad to hear that. And thank you again. Your team does an amazing job, and we appreciate all the efforts that you do. And we look forward to getting to be a part of some of those events. So thank you, Dylan. That concludes this portion of Cowboy Conversation, our 4th edition, but I want to open it up since we have Dr. Bray and Dr. Pettit here. We still have a few more minutes before our time is up, and I just wanted to kind of open it up and see if anyone had questions about our campus or questions about anything you heard today.
Hey, Ashley, Dr.
Yes, sir.
Pettit. Ashley?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to make one comment that might stimulate a question. You know, this is an ideal campus, if you think about it. Medical school building, beautiful, brand new, its own anatomy, neuroanatomy lab. And you walk across the parking lot to a 469,000 square foot clinical facility that our students would be able to go into. You walk the other way, and we have the W.W. Hastings Hospital, and a stone's throw away, and you still don't need to get in your car, is Northeast Health Systems. That's a phenomenal academic environment. And I've always been super impressed with that. And I just want to throw that out and appreciate Ashley building all these things for us.
Thank you, Dr. Pettit. If no one has any questions, I just want to remind everyone that to register for the open house coming up on June the 4th, which will be following our Operation Orange that day, you can log on and register. Bria has put the link in the comment section for us. And this concludes our program for today. Thank you for joining our 4th edition of Cowboy Conversations. I hope you've enjoyed it and learned some things about OSU-COM CN. And we look forward to answering any questions you all may have. You know how to get a hold of us, and go Pokes. Have a great day, guys.